After 2 preseason games, it's clear that the Utah Jazz have a rotation issue with their guards. Right now, they have 6 rotation guards in Jordan Clarkson, Collin, Sexton, Ochai Agbaji, Kris Dunn, Talen, Horton-Tucker, and Keyonte George. THT and Collin Sexton have been starting for the Jazz, but it hasn't gone well. The Jazz have not been able to overcome in both games a deficit with the opposing team, and there has not been enough playmaking to make everyone else better on the team. The offenses look clunky, and it really goes back to the guard play. Will Hardy recently said that he's glad that he saw the problems with this team early rather than 2 weeks into the season, but it's clear the Jazz have to make some sort of change, and we likely see a change in the rotation coming up here soon. Collin Sexton, as good as he is more of a scoring guard, and I think he needs to be off the bench as a 6th man. THT has had moments in these games where he's played really well, but those have come in the second half against second units. For these lineups to succeed, they need to change things up, and they need to go after the lineup that they're going to be using for the rest of the season. Instead of waiting for Keyonte George to play, as well as Ochai Agbaji, they need to start playing now instead of later, because the sooner they start playing, the sooner the Jazz will start getting more cohesion as a team. One of the things that has gone well for this Utah Jazz, like we mentioned, is the second half of games when THT has had a really good game. We've also seen Kris Dunn play really well. But what was the coincidence with both of those things? Keyonte George was on the floor. What that means is that you need to get Keyonte George on the floor now, because what is he doing? He's making everyone else better. And the biggest struggle the Jazz have had this preseason has been with the starting unit. If you put Keyonte George in that starting unit, you are likely going to see a much different team. The other thing about Keyonte George is the immense upside. He has the ability to score at all 3 levels. We've seen the passing with him, and he's been incredibly unselfish during this preseason. His willingness to pass the ball has made everyone better. When THT was going off, or when Kris Dunn was playing well, Keyonte George was there allowing him to do it, giving him the ball, passing him the ball, setting him up. He was also setting up the other players on the team who were doing better. The Jazz have been much better in second halves, and Keyonte George has been one of those big reasons. The other player we've mentioned already that needs to start is Ochai Agbaji. With his athleticism, his size, his ability to shoot the ball will get better as the season goes on, as he gets more comfortable with who he's playing with. When Ochai Agbaji is on the floor with Keyonte George and gets more chemistry, knows where his spots are, knows when he's getting the ball, how he's going to feel the pass and things like that, he's going to shoot the ball better. He'll also pass the ball more because he'll know the different plays and sets, get that chemistry with Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, and John Collins. Whatever the case, the Jazz need to make a change because things have not been going well, and they've got to fix things fast if they want to be a playoff team this season, because the Western Conference is fantastic, and if the Jazz don't get things figured out soon, they're going to be really struggling to make the playoffs. Now, the big question is, what happens if you start Keyonte George and Ochai Agbaji? The big problem is with the second unit, and I think the number one guy you have to keep playing is Jordan Clarkson. He's been one of the most solid players for the Utah Jazz coming off the bench, and he'll continue to do that if you play him. I think the other player you need is Kris Dunn. Kris Dunn playing with Jordan Clarkson allows the Jazz to have some playmaking on the floor as well as some defense for that second unit. You can also have Kris Dunn roll with Keyonte George and even with Ochai Agbaji. It's a perfect rotation that allows the ball to move around. Now, that means you've got Collin Sexton, who might be the odd man out here, and that means the Jazz probably need to think about some sort of trade. There are too many guards on this team, too many cooks in the kitchen needing the ball, and Collin Sexton likely wants minutes so he can continue to grow as a player in the NBA. He's also a good NBA player, and I'm sure there's a team out there that might be willing to give a protected first to the Utah Jazz for Collin Sexton. Whatever the case, the Utah Jazz need to make a consolidation trade so that they can get these guys more minutes. The Jazz also need to think about trading THT. He's a solid player, he's young, he's got upside, and there's got to be a team out there that would be interested to take him because he's still young and he can still help another team out. The issue is these players aren't bad players, there's just too many of them, and you can't give minutes to everybody. And if you are not giving long, consistent minutes to these players, they're not going to get better, especially Keyonte George. And that's the thing I want to finish on. Keyonte George needs this coaching staff and team to believe in him and give him that vote of confidence that he can start and do his thing, because the more he does that, the better he's going to be. Yes, he's got to improve defensively. Yes, he's got to get some more experience with the offensive unit. But right now, he is the best option at guard with what he's doing while he's on the floor. The ball is moving, the shots are going in, the floor is spread. It's just a better looking team with Keyonte George running it. And then when you have Ochai Agbaji on there, you have a better, big, long, athletic defender next to him who can knock down threes. It's just a more balanced unit with much more upside and ability to grow. Guys, that's all I got tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you next time.